Alright, welcome back. Hope you're having a good day. This is one of my root over rock with the Ficus Microcarpa. I think it's one of the better ones that I've got. Really happy with the way it's turning out. I'm going to go ahead and just give it a hard prune and some wire. And since this tree is nice and small, I don't think I'm going to do any time lapse or anything like that again. And since it's also well documented, I think as I work here a little bit, I'm just going to go ahead and show you some of the pictures of how it got started. And just go to town here. And sometimes when I don't do any fast forwarding or time lapse or music, I hate the sound of my breathing when I'm listening to when I'm editing the videos. And right now I can hear my stomach going off for some reason. But I should have mentioned that I have not touched this since May, just with the idea of letting some of these kind of elongate, thicken up a little bit. This one, a little out of hand there, but is one of the nice things about some of the smaller trees is not having to take 2-3 hours just to prune it up a little bit. I mean, and sometimes even then, just trying to make some YouTube videos and stuff, even just a good half hour, 45 minutes is too much time to spend just pruning a tree. Now, with me leaving it alone since May, the idea of letting some of these thicken up and everything is I was actually able to just make pretty quick work of that. I have been trying to concentrate a little more on developing a better apex, so I'm going to start by defoliating up here a little bit first before I just go cutting all the growing tips off. I'd like to leave a little more length than I did down below. I think sometimes with some root over rocks, the tree is never, I don't know how to put it, but static, I guess you would say. It's always going to be growing. You don't want to let it grow up and be like a huge tree and take all the focus off the rock. But then you don't really want, and I kind of got into that a little bit on this one, where I got to where some of this foliage is actually kind of covering up the rock a little bit. These two are both straight up, so I'm going to take those off. And go ahead and get these tips off. The things I've noticed is since I was coming in and doing, you know what, let me see if I can give you guys a closer look here. Alright, so I was about to say there's I did want to give you guys the closer look here. And it's got a few new roots that have kind of sprung out of old roots here. A couple of them kind of gone down into the substrate like you would expect. And then like this one here is actually gone underneath like the root that it kind of sprung from there. And then all the way goes all the way over here. Why it never made its way down to the substrate, I don't really even know. And might go out of sight there for you guys for a minute. But then it actually goes into the substrate like kind of actually right with that root there. And I don't know if I should keep it or not. There's not really any roots on this side of the rock, so now it's got a little root wandering through there. Some of the things I actually struggle with this tree is a couple of times I've actually, in the video, I've actually taken a toothbrush and tried to clean this rock up a little bit. But in a way, the moss that's kind of growing on it, the algae and everything is kind of giving it a little bit of character now. But as I was kind of scooting it up here and getting a little bit of a place where you guys could get a better look, I did realize this branch actually comes out and then comes over this way. I actually think in my early hobby days that I was actually trying to spread it away from this other branch here. And it looks a little unnatural, and not only that, it's also covering up that root that I was just talking about. So I'm going to pop that off. And then one other, did just kind of notice that little branch there seemed out of place. And once I start putting wire on it, I might lose a couple more. Go ahead and do that with the camera off. Alright, and with the camera off, I came up with a couple decisions. Actually, I guess 3. I crossed the wires there and I decided I'm going to have to live with it. But I did decide, I do remember when I was talking about how I didn't want to allow the apex to get too far away from the tree. There's a chop scar right there. And that was where I had, originally chopped it back. Now I'm letting it go to an apex again. And then, obviously this is it. There's 3 little branches coming off of there. This one coming off. And then this one almost coming out right at the same height. At one point, I thought I'd leave that. But I think I'm going to go ahead and nip that off. And then there's this one here. as I was thinking about wiring and everything, I realized that it's kind of in a bad spot, almost as bad as that other spot right there. And I decided I'd get rid of that. And I did that ahead of, I do have those wires crossed there, I don't like that, but I did that ahead of bending this because now I actually have some negative space I can put this branch into some. And that was actually why, I mean, sometimes, you know, that whole hindsight thing is kind of 20/20. But that was actually one of the reasons why I was letting so many of these twigs grow out is I had some main branches kind of set, but then some of the twigs are hard to put wire on. And sometimes those smaller twigs actually seem as if they're long and thick enough to get some wire, but then even as I'm just putting the wire on there, sometimes they just snap right in your fingers, and that they seem a little more flexible than they are once you actually start working with them. But now with those two major branches coming off this thing, should get lots of back butting. This is pretty much what I've always thought of being the front. And then there's the back side. Back side does have the heavier root. Earlier I was going to mention, I think one of the videos I took out a bunch of the bigger crossing roots. I still have a couple in there. Again, I don't have to address them right away. That one root that comes way around too, I'll just see what happens. Should look really cool this spring. And before we go, just thought I'd experiment. I forgot I even got this stand a little while back. Don't really get a chance to use it all that much. Thought about getting some more for some different sizes that I've got and everything. I only really have a few that are even in decent pots. I'll get a nice little shot from that side. And another one from that side too. Thanks for watching.